I'm going to give you my opinion on why we lost and where we could really set the blame. So let's get right to that. Well, I'm going to break this down for you. Now, of course, my prediction for this game was 30-17. I think they were on pace for that. If they would have played even half as good as they played in the first half, I didn't think we would completely shut out this high-powered offense of Arizona. I want to go over who I feel is to blame for this loss. Now, of course, a lot of people say it was the defense and they gave up and they got gas. But again, I'm not going to blame the defense here because they did a heck of a job through almost 3 quarters to keep this team off the board. You can't keep a defense on the field 55 plays and a half and expect something from it, especially for Kyler Murray. They started using him more and he was more effective. I'm going to go first with this guy right here. Of course, Josh McDaniels got a lot of blame, basically saying the play calling was bad and we should have ran more. But I want to look at the play calls right here. So this is actual play calls. Now, I didn't add things like sacks to penalties, so it's a little bit off. But overall, first half run-pass ratio is about 37%. Second half was actually a little bit less, maybe a percentage less. So overall, 24 run plays, 42 pass plays. So I don't think it was an issue of running the ball more. I know some people said we should have ran with Jacobs instead of, Renfrow getting the ball there in overtime. Number one, that's at the edge of Carlson's leg. Now, he is good, but why test it? It wasn't like we're in 4th down territory. Why not get him even closer? And number two, Jacobs was doing pretty well. Not quite as well as he was in the first half, but he was doing well. I get it, but I'm not going to kick a long field goal. If we miss it, we're right at midfield. All they need is about 10, 15 yards. They can win the game. I'm going to give Josh McDaniels some of the blame, of course. There's a lot to be passed around, but I don't think he's the main blame for all this. Now, we got this guy here, Derek Carr. I got to talk about this here. I know this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but so what? As far as Derek Carr, I got to levy most of this on him again, and I'll tell you why. Now, here's his completion percentages from the first half and the second half and the total. Of course, he had less attempts because they were getting less first downs in the game. So we only had 3 first downs in the second half. We had 1 in overtime, but you can see it right here. Here's his completion percentage. He was on fire in the first half, 19-26, over 73.1%. Second half, not so much. 6 of 13, 46.2%. It gives him a little over 60%. Now, this is the main reason to me why we didn't win this game. We couldn't hold this lead. Not only that, their deck versions here. First half, 5 of 6. Outstanding. Second half of overtime, 1 of 5. Disgusting. But the average was skewed by the first half here. But ultimately, we could not keep the ball in the offense's hands. Now, they were stopping the run a little bit better, but most of it was incompletions. Most of it was off-target throws by Derek Carr. He did run once out of the pocket for 9 yards. That was in the first half. I want to see probably 3 or 4 of those in the game. He did not do that. He's waiting too long again and getting sacks. He only had 1 sack, but he had 5 QB pressures, and you could tell that was kind of bothering him. And the biggest thing I'm going to say about this as far as Derek Carr goes, I am not impressed with the killer instinct here. Not only with McDaniels, but especially Derek Carr. We're up 20-0 at the half. We were up 23-7 at the end of the third quarter. This is where the offense needs to go and step on these guys' necks, go get a touchdown, use Devontae Adams, burn them, break their back. That didn't happen. It was la-di-da, and when you see his interviews afterwards, there's no fire there. He's got his head down. He's feeling sorry for himself. He is the quarterback. He's the leader of this team. And his attitude, it's like a company. The CEO's attitude, it flows down through the company. He is the head of this team, especially on the field. His attitude flows down to the rest of this team. And you can see the fight wasn't there, and Arizona wanted it more, and they took it. So I'm going to say an unpopular opinion. I'm not going to say pull him for Stidham. I think he's a better quarterback than Stidham, but I'll tell you what, I think we need to draft a quarterback next year in the 2023 draft and move on from Derek Carr. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of seeing this. I would rather have him fire and gut and run around like he did and do flips. And if he throws an interception trying to make a tough throw, then so be it. But at least he's busting his ass. I don't see the fire and the flame here. Prove me wrong, Derek Carr. Prove me wrong and I'll say it. But I'm not seeing it. And at that point, we need to move on and get better leadership on the field.
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization. And you tell them one thing, just win, baby.